Welcome, beautiful creatures, to the Lightness of Being podcast, where we celebrate the dance of life and explore ways to find joy, laughter, and lightness, even when faced with challenges. Join me, your host, Monika Stefanik, as we step into the light and discover a realm of potential and possibilities for greater ease in our lives. Let's laugh, learn, and grow together.
Hello, beautiful souls. I am so excited to share this episode of the podcast with you. And I received some information post-production that the beautiful, beautiful beings that created an incredible business together, of which we talk about in the podcast, are actually in the middle of dissolving said business. And it was such an incredible creation, and they are still looking to collaborate with each other in the future. Right now, they're just making a different choice for themselves and for that business. So we'll have all the information in the show notes on how to get in touch with Amanda and Michelle, and the wisdom and divine feminine essence that came through in this episode still deeply desires to be shared. So here we go. Enjoy. Welcome, beautiful beings, to this episode of the Lightness of Being podcast. As the sprinklers turn on.
Are we about to get sprinklers?
I think they're okay. The last time that happened, they just watered the trees. So I was like, I think it's going to be okay. We're here. We're alive. We're watered.
Things bubbles are to the surface.
All perfect timing. I have my sweet, sweet sisters with me. I'm doing a 3-part interview, which is so exciting. Amanda and Michelle, who are sharing some incredible heart in this world. And I'm so stoked to have you guys here and that we're finally doing this, because it's been a little while, but I'm ready.
Super happy to be here.
Yes. So let's start off first. Just like, what's something that you each are celebrating right now?
I am celebrating, like, really standing up for myself and choosing myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Proud of you.
Similarly, I'm also celebrating just my inner fire and that part of me that's willing to say no in the face of ostracization or feeling like I'm like the odd one out, and just being like, my truth is my truth. And if I can channel it through my heart, then I know I'm doing good by myself.
Amazing.
Channeling fire through my heart.
But I feel like that's just like this like Kali woman fierceness that's been shut down for so long, that's been so prominent in my life as well recently. And so it's so beautiful to get to see how the women in my circle are embodying this, whether it's through boundaries and loving ourselves and showing up for ourselves, or being like, actually, I'm going to stand up and use my voice in this way, or leaving situations, like whatever that looks like. It's starting to come up and through, and it's really beautiful to get to observe.
Being feminine.
Being feminine. So you guys started something really special a couple of months ago, right? When did this officially become a thing that you started to offer out into the world?
We launched in February.
Okay. So it's still pretty recent.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, it feels like it's been a long time, and yet also like quite a short
Just a
period
few months,
of time. Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
Well, do you want to share a little bit, just intro of like what it is, and then we'll get into the story behind it? Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So the Painted Goddess experience is a body painting and photography experience that is not just like for fun and for the art of it, though it is fun and artful, But for the women who step into that container to really feel witnessed in the essence of like what it means to be a woman, and something that keeps coming through is like to be a woman is to be both incredibly strong and powerful and to be beautiful and soft. And the experience itself is that this honoring and celebration that each woman is like a masterpiece, no matter what time in life she is, no matter her body shape, no matter her orientation, like she is art. And to be celebrated like that.
I just got chills as you were saying that. So beautiful.
That was perfect. I like to think of it as also just like a really ultimate way to express self-love and to really honor your body and to show your body real love by being like, I'm going to look at this part and I'm going to honor it and paint it and adorn it. And I'm going to say like, you are beautiful for exactly what you are. And this is my body. This is the vessel I was given. And I'm going to love it fiercely and honor all the transitions of the womb and womanhood, you know, going from child to woman to crone, like all the stages, and just accepting that and walking in this body and not wanting it to be something else.
Yeah. It's such, I have not gotten to experience it, but it's such important work that you guys are doing because our bodies are taught to be shamed in all of the ways. And it's also like, oh, it has to look a certain way. And like by a certain time, if it doesn't look a certain way, then it's like, you're not beautiful anymore. We have all these interesting stories that come in from our very masculine world that then put us in a space of like questioning our worth and our beauty and our radiance, which is like, we are radiant no matter how we look. And our like, these meat suits are amazing and they're beautiful and they're also messy and they're also just meat suits and it's not and it's not who we are. And so I feel like when I sit with like what you guys are doing, it's this really beautiful embodiment of like what these women's souls actually are and getting to come through in art and in painting and through this expression on the body, which is just magnificent. It's so cool. It's so beautiful. I would love to hear how it started, which Michelle, I think you were painting on yourself, right? For a little while.
Still am.
So here, yes.
Yeah, it was birthed in just a moment last summer. It just kind of came to me, this idea of what I could do artistically that felt inspiring and that I could share. And I did start to have a new love and like for my body, for my pelvis, for my belly, for my yoni. I started to have like a new appreciation of it and really just decided to like define it and be like, no, it is beautiful. This is beauty. And I just saw it in my head. I just saw like a flower on my yoni and I was like, this is epic. Like, I want to paint that. And so I just started doing it on myself privately and I didn't tell anybody. And I released it on the internet anonymously and thought it would be a crazy art project that I didn't really have to share with anyone publicly and then I could just see what happened. And I just found myself just repeatedly inspired to do new paintings and new art came to my mind. And the anonymous people on the internet or the few friends I showed it with or shared it with were they were just so taken by it that I was motivated to continue. I was like, oh, maybe what I'm doing is actually kind of cool. And you need other people to reflect that back to you or you really don't know. So the reflections I kept getting were so positive that it just kept propelling it in that direction. And I just started thinking about Amanda's photography. I was just like, she photographs nude people and maybe our visions could somehow mesh together. I just kind of envisioned like a project where maybe we could just like go out in the woods and I'd just paint some of her models for her and we would just do something just fun, just like really fun. And then just as we talked about it more and more, it just kind of came through this idea of like, what if we could do this for people? What if they would want to sign up for something like this and see their own body kind of be transformed? And maybe they would come to a new appreciation of their own beauty by seeing it as art, by getting a design painted on them that's very yoni focused.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like that's something like I really want to emphasize is that like the body painting like is primarily stemming from the yoni, and that's like the unique aspect of this that a lot of people don't quite get initially. They're like, wait, what? It's like the painting is actually happening from the yoni up the body, and that's a very vulnerable experience. And so the experience itself requires a lot of courage and trust and vulnerability and acceptance, because that's a part of ourselves that even like when it comes to our menstrual cycle or just like being like birth, like it's considered gross by a large part of society. Like, ew. Mm-hmm. I'm just thinking of all the derogatory things I heard as a high schooler, like fish pussy or like, tilapia cooter, like whatever, just all the things that like are said about this portal,
this magic void that we hold right here to create life and birth life.
Yeah.
All these
oh my gosh,
terms that degrade it and make it feel
which
like
then degrade
you should hide it,
the woman as a whole,
and you should protect society from your oh my God, your crotch, like how dare you have one?
Yeah,
cover that up.
And it's only for someone else.
Yeah,
that one other person. Not really not for you. Not for you.
One partner. It's theirs to see alone and not the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's this like reclamation that's coming back of the feminine in general in this world as we're like undergoing this great change. Yeah. And the expressions of how that is starting to come through is so beautiful, which is why I'm so stoked that we're doing this, because I've definitely been in my own pathway of like diving into what it is to embody that divine feminine and find a way to bring that up and through like what I'm offering out into the world. So getting to like witness you both do what you do, which it's like you are an artist as well, just in different forms, right? You're more painting, you're more photography. And so getting to bring that through in a form where it's like that embodiment piece, and also getting to share your unique gifts with the world that brings so much joy to you is like, that's abundance and that's expansion. And that like also puts other people in a position of like, oh, I can do that. I can do that too. Mm-hmm. And empowering women. It's amazing. Yeah.
And the words like liberation and reclamation really comes through with this, because in order to like show up for that experience, like even women who we've worked with who have done a lot of work and like reflection and like even yoni gazing, like it brings up stuff to like see their body adorned in that way, because it's such a like celebration, and like especially for women who have experienced sexual traumas, like, it's just like allowing even women into their field in that way. It just like, it's so illuminating, and like the healing that's possible. And like, this is a safe container where you are celebrated, where you are beautiful, and we see you, like we deeply see you. And like that they get to like choose their design too. And like these women are like choosing designs that like really represent their becoming in this moment, and like what it represents, like, what the snake or the ginkgo leaf or like the color pink represents to them. And so it's just very personal. It's deeply personal.
Wow. What are some of the reflections and feedback that you've gotten from, like, I don't want you to share anything super personal, but like, what have you experienced in space with these women, and like the feedback that they've given you afterwards on how it's like shifted and changed? I'd love to know what you feel comfortable to share.
Yeah. There's so many reflections. I think one of the ones that I shared earlier was like the essence of woman really coming through, because like when you feel into like the feminine archetype, the like feminine nature of like our bodies, like it's often rooted here in our breasts, right? And so for a woman, when she's like in this experience and she's like just deeply soaking in like what her feminine essence is, and that really does have to, like, if you think of a child being birthed into the world and you think about like the woman's curves, like you think about like the power required to like birth a child into the world, and then also like how delicate and beautiful our curves are, and like just soft we are. And just that polarity of like the softness and like fierceness that it is to be a woman, and how we get to like be so full spectrum.
So cool. So amazing. So grateful to be a woman on this planet now.
It's wild.
Yeah. And there's like, yeah, there's definitely moments where I felt, I'm like, oh, it would be so much easier to be a man. But I've also been coming back into my space of like, no, I'm so grateful to be inside the body of a woman. Like, what an incredible gift to get to experience this life in the way that we do. And like, yeah, there are some unique challenges to it. And like, once we really step into those, the essence that is the feminine and our intuition, and we really start to like listen and move from that space and get to like celebrate and honor every part of it. I'm like, oh, this is like the best thing ever. Yeah. And there's still judgment that comes up.
Of course. I mean, I've been through a year of cyclical journey as this began to, being very much private about it. I mean, like, oh yeah, no one's going to ever see this stuff. This is just for me. And, a few other people anonymously, and just like one friend I told. And then going through the journey of being like, oh, no, this is powerful. There's medicine in this. And when I show other women this, they are absolutely floored. And it makes them feel more powerful. Just seeing it, they're like, oh, it's not like a fishy, nasty little, like, let's hide that away zone. This is a flower, and it's being like bloomed open, and getting to see like the folds, and getting familiar with what you look like in your yoni is just, it's just so powerful that you're like, yeah, that is mine, and it is beautiful, and it's not anyone else's, even if I'm letting them in that zone or sharing it with them visually, whatever it is, this is mine. And I went through this journey where when I finally decided to share it in an arts festival, I almost caved, and I almost was like, maybe this is too big. Maybe this is the scariest thing in the world to let people see this part of my body in a very public forum. And I was terrified, but I pushed through and was like, I guess I'm just this crazy artist, and this is what people, I don't care anymore what people think. I'm just going to go with it and see what happens. Because I think something has happened where maybe it is, you reach a certain age where you're just like, it's fuck it time. It's just like, fuck it, see what happens. Maybe it's going to be really amazing, actually.
Yeah, the vulnerability, like you said, the vulnerability and the courage in that is wild. Like, I don't know if I'd be able to do that. My art looks like this. Like, this is my like form of expression. It's not as it's a different form of vulnerability, and it's edgy in certain ways, but like, I just applaud you and you, because you take nude photos of yourself and of other people, which I have been a model for, gratefully. And even in those experiences, that's also really edgy to like allow that out into the world. But every time I see those photos, it's always a like, oh wow, my body's amazing. And then I also get kind of transported back to like who I was in that moment and what I was working through in that moment, and getting to just like be like, wow, I've come so far, and I'm so grateful to have this to go back and reflect on, and like what I was going through, and even like whatever body dysmorphia I had at that point in time, like getting to look at those images. It's I'm like, what was I worried about? Like, what was I judging about? Like, my body's beautiful. It's beautiful. Yeah.
Like that illumination medicine. Like I keep coming back to that, like with this work and with photography, like nude photography, it's like, even just with a portrait, like even just having your photo taken, like to be witnessed in that way, it like brings things to the surface for so many people, of being seen, of being witnessed, of like what they think about themselves, of what they think they should or shouldn't look like. And it's this illumination that allows those little sticky bits to like soften into the light. And it's different layers, guys. Like, it's different to have a portrait done, which is vulnerable for a lot of people. And it's different to have yourself photographed naked. And it's funny because like, yeah, like your yoni is extraordinarily vulnerable. And we also had someone express how easeful it was because their face wasn't involved.
Whoa.
They're like, I feel like I can just relax because like she is who she is.
Wow.
And like my face, I feel like if I smile a little weird, or if I'm like a little squinty, or like I have like a dark circle or like a pimple, it's like there's a lot more somehow judgment because this is so outward facing. But because she is like, I don't know if they said exactly this, but this is what's coming through. Because she is kind of her own thing. Like she is just, pussy is pussy. Like yoni is yoni. And even just like reclaiming the word pussy.
Love it.
I'm just like, that's like, it's like the word
Mama
witch.
Gina's book is like the Bible.
And like even these words, like reclaiming these words, like my pussy, you know?
Yeah.
Like I am a witch. Like people immediately think of like this old scribe, you know, terrible. Like no, witch just works with plants, y'all.
Yeah.
Connected
We
to
just
the
like
cycle
love
of
the
planet.
earth and it's fine. And we've got an intuition and we just follow that, and that's witch medicine.
Yeah. But even just that, you know, like there's like insane vulnerability, and like even just opening your legs is insanely vulnerable. And it was also funny having those reflections of women being like, my face isn't involved, so I can just like chill because I know she's got it.
Yeah.
Essentially, like she is her, and she's beautiful. And like even though there's layers of stories on top of that would say otherwise, I think we innately know like this is beautiful. I am beautiful. It's just the stories that are like the distortion field between. Like that's not the truth of it.
Mm-hmm. Wow. That's amazing. I had this really interesting image for a moment of like being at the gynecologist. And you know how they cover you and everything, and it's this whole like they try to not like make it a thing that they're like looking at your pussy, and you're like, you're like very much invading my, and it's just like it's so it's not soft in the way that you guys could do it, because I know you make a little nest and you like let everyone be warm and cozy, and I'm like, okay, there's different ways to like, was just like imagining if that was like how going to the gynecologist would be, how that would like shift and change all of that, because I hate
the like
going
pussy temple.
Yeah, because it's just like it's always awkward. Like no matter your like mind state about it, it's just like how the system is set up, and it's like, oh, we're gonna cover it, and we're gonna like not talk about basically like what we're doing here.
We're going to cover it with this really stupid blue piece of paper, but actually we want you to spread those legs open as far as possible, and I'm going to start shoving some metal up it.
Yeah.
Like, what's the point of the blue piece of paper? I should just like strip in there and be like, what? You're going to see
You're going to see everything
your face
anyway.
is going to be all up in there.
Yeah.
Well, birth destroys your modesty. As soon as you go through birth and labor, you're just like willing to walk around doctor's offices just buck naked, letting things come out. You're like, you've all seen it all already. Like the birthing process is so vulnerable because everybody's down there all the time. And so you get a little desensitized to it after going through birthing.
Yeah.
I feel. And that's a stage of evolution, personal evolution, I feel like. And that does help break down some of those walls that you might have had pre-birth or pre-child, bearing and yeah.
Yeah. I'm seeing how like medicinal that can be going through that process as someone who's like on the edge of like, I don't know if I want to have a family and want to have kids, at least of my own. And as you were speaking to that, I'm like, oh, there's definitely a piece that's popping up of like, I don't want people invading that space all the time. Like at first I was like, oh, it's just because I'm afraid of like, not afraid of the pain, but just like how it does shift and change your body and like that whole process. But and then you're tied to a being for the rest of your life, and it changes the whole trajectory of your life, which is insane, right? And it's definitely like a path for some. But yeah, that was really interesting. That was coming up as you were talking. I was like, okay, that's a new little space for me to be in. Hello, beloved beings. I hope you're enjoying this conversation. I wanted to drop in really quick and let you know about this amazing community that I have been a part of and has transformed the trajectory of my life over the last few years in magnificent ways. Back in 2023, I chose to partner with a 52-year-old Japanese company to be a part of a massive movement to change regular tap water into pure, healthy, electrolyzed, reduced, and hydrogen-rich drinking water. We are helping to create a new paradigm for living on this planet and pledge to realize a revolution in true health in the form of economic health, physical health, and mental health. If this sounds like your jam, please let me share the vision with you. There is a link in the show notes to sign up for my email list. I'll gift you a free ebook and we'll get started from there. How does it get better than that? Now, let's get back to the conversation.
Yeah, what this brings to mind is like the process I went through, what I was saying about the arts festival. And what hit my mind was like, oh, I was taught like, you keep this private. Like my mom taught me this, like everybody taught you that. Like, I think when I was a little tiny girl, you don't have modesty. You're just like stripping off your clothes at the park. Like what? And I just kind of have these memories of my mom, like getting that really shameful feeling where she's just like, oh, you need to cover that up. Put your shirt back down, put your dress back down. Like you don't show that. You don't share that with other people. That's your private parts. And just like going through that whole process of where they're just trying to really teach you to be modest in society, but it feels like shaming. It feels like there's something wrong with your body. And like, why does the little boy over there get to run around naked? But like, why do I have to wear a shirt? Because my nipples look exactly like that little boy's nipples. Like, I think I remember that stage of childhood where you're like so confused. You're just so wildly confused about why you're treated so different, why your body's so different. And, you know, being raised in that environment where it's like, here's your razor, you turn 12, here's your razor, start shaving your legs, start shaving your armpits, start like making sure you fit this mold of what society's beautiful woman is. You will not be loved. Men will not want to go out with you if they see your hairy legs. Like I was told these things.
Wow.
And then getting to this, you know, full cycle, or all of a sudden I'm like trying to enter my yoni into the arts festival, it's just like fully spread eagle. So it's a peach painted on it. And I had just total meltdowns being like, only a few men have ever seen this. And I was kind of like, it was for them. It was for my partner. No one else got to be down there. Me and my girlfriends weren't walking around like, hey,
labia.
We don't let our vaginas talk to each other, you know, like, but men get to do that. Like, I don't know. They just,
whip
like
them out and measure them.
They're just so much more allowed to be free in that department. And when I went through that loop of just like feeling like, maybe I can't do this. This is too scary. I can't share this with other people. That's what kind of gave me the internal push that no, I have to, because it's not his. It's not my ex's. It's not that other boyfriend. It's mine. And it's art. And I'm going to declare it as art. Oh. And I'm not going to like let this idea of like, oh, you can't show that to people. No. It's mine. We're reclaiming it.
We're reclaiming it. Yes. You're in an age of reclaiming and embodying our essence and our power. And this is like such a beautiful way to get to do that.
And there's so many stories as to why like we feel shame around our yoni or even just bare skin, you know, because like there's cultures where like to show your ankles or your arm, like even just your arms is like you could go to jail, like literally go to jail. And it's fascinating because like we are literally born into the world naked. Like we are born into these vessels without anything but maybe a little bit of hair. And there's this like huge phobia around the human body. And like it gets like more and more intense, like the more you go towards like the genitals or the breast, like anything that's been sexualized, you know, it just like gets like amplified. And like, yeah, like there's this, the truth is the world we live in, like it probably isn't safe for like young women to walk around naked, you know?
It's not.
And it's just like, and it's like the fear is valid, but like the reason like that it all exists is really fascinating and interesting and maybe not of truth, you know? And so it's like, yeah, like this journey of like being in a container where you can be naked in that way, because a lot of women, like even just being naked is like really vulnerable, let alone having their yoni painted. It's like when we can create these safe containers for that, then we start to slowly shift that frequency, because the less phobic or fear that there is around this, then like it literally just stops becoming a big deal. And like you'll see that at places like hot springs where people are naked and it's like, it's not really a big deal, you know? But then, you know, downtown Bend, big deal.
Big deal.
Someone's naked.
Yeah.
You know?
Or even just topless by the river. It's like, oh, actually, this is like legal. I couldn't do this, but it's still a stigma. But no one does.
People do it, but it is legal in this state.
It is. And that was one of the like
rare thing.
amazing things that, like, as you were talking, I was like, yeah, getting to live where we do is such a blessing because we have the ability to be able to go to these hot springs and these other places where it's like we're out in nature, and the stigma of the body being this like thing that you're supposed to hide is just not present. And like you may pick up on some other people's, like judgments and things, so that happens. But it's like being able to be free in those spaces, like moving here from Michigan where I grew up, right? I remember like, because I've lived here for about 8 years now, and that it's been like a slow unfoldment of me like opening into my naturalness in that way. And it's been such a beautiful journey, but it was really, really hard at first. And even I think there was like first experience was going to some hot springs for a birthday party, and that was my first time where like around friends and community where I was like fully vulnerable and naked in that way. And it was a huge shift in my being, but also like so deeply and incredibly vulnerable. But I remember that being like such a massively important moment in that transition of like, my body is beautiful. Like I get to be like this, everyone else gets to be like this, so why not me too? And I can like own this and start to step into loving myself in a totally different way and not hide anymore, because it's like you're not just hiding your body, like you're hiding all of these other pieces of yourself, right? Like it expands out. And so it's like, okay, if I get to own this, which is like my naturalness and like a massive part of my being, it's like that just starts to radiate out into like how we begin to express ourselves in the world. That's been my journey. With it.
And what's coming through is because my journey with like becoming comfortable with my naked body was also at a hot spring. And I've actually heard a lot of stories of like hot springs being like, I want to like the gateway drug to the natural world, but like this portal into like loving and adoring the self just as a part of the natural world. And I feel like, I don't know, like if someone does feel like shame around like their naked body, like go to Brighton Bush, go to some of these hot springs where like people are naked. And because like to be in those environments where it isn't a big deal is so deeply healing. And it like helps to rewire, because like the wiring says it's not safe to be naked, which in a lot of cases it actually isn't. And it's like important, even as someone who's naked a lot, like to honor like when my body's like, actually, I'm not safe here to be naked, even if I could be naked. And sometimes it is at a hot spring where I'm just like, oh, there's some weird vibes. I don't feel like being naked here right now. And so also acknowledge like on the opposite end of the spectrum, like if you have done like this deep inner work of like, I accept my body as it is, because sometimes it's like the fear comes from, I don't like how I look. And sometimes the fear comes from, I'm told my body is bad. And so it's like there's these different like angles that like the fear or like trauma can come through of like accepting the body as is. But like, if you've worked through those and you're like, actually, I do accept my body as it is, and like I'm okay being naked, then it's like also your duty to like listen to your body and be like, oh, but it's not safe here actually to do this, because at large, our society isn't a safe place to be living that ideal and like that vision, because it's just not.
It's that practice of discernment. It's like, okay, I would love to be able to be, I've been naked here before. I'd love to be able to do that. And also like there's something about whatever is going on here that my body and my nervous system is telling me that I need to protect myself. And it's okay.
Yeah.
If that happens too.
Yeah. So it's not like stressing yourself out, being like, well, no. I'm like fighting against this oppressive system and I need to go be naked. And because like, that's like my like statement. It's like, well, yes. And like also like honoring where you physically are and where you are in your nervous system too. And knowing that like, it's an unfolding and it's like a deep listening, and these hot springs, I think, are really like, if someone has access to a hot spring where you can go and be naked, like that's like a really beautiful place to potentially explore that, because you can just see that it's relax and normal. It can be normal, that it can be normal.
And it is a like you said, it's an unfoldment. Like you can go in with your bathing suit on and then maybe you take your top off and then maybe you take your bottoms off. It's like it gets to be whatever that process looks like for you.
Yeah.
I love it.
What's coming up is people think like, oh, well, I need to be beautiful if I'm going to go show myself naked at this hot spring or wherever. Or I don't want to unveil myself. And even in the locker room, if I'm feeling self-conscious about my looks,
you don't have a six-pack, you can't be naked.
And I feel like
Beach body.
the environments that I've been in nudist environments like hot springs or locker rooms, or, in Europe, I went to a lot of hot springs in Iceland. And although they're not nudist hot springs, in the locker room, it was like the most nudity I'd probably ever experienced. And I'm not looking for the beauty. I'm not looking for all the perfect, I only want to be surrounded by models. I'm sorry. I get so much healing in the experience when it's a huge, diverse type of bodies. When you're seeing all the ages and all the sizes, you're like, yes, this is humanity. You go to the hot springs and you see all the ages and all the body styles. Like that is what is healing about being around other people that are nude. I don't want to just be around all the perfect bodies. I want to see all the differences and all the different weights and all the different ages and the wrinkles and the scars. Like I had someone comment to me recently, like they didn't unveil themselves at wasn't a nudist hot spring, but like a hot pool, wear a swimming suit, but kind of covered up a good portion of their body, claiming that it was because of a lot of scarring. I'm like, we want to see your scars. Like that is just who you are. You don't need to hide that, because they were like, well, people get upset, or they're like really, weirded out by all the scars. And I'm like, because I got a lot of surgeries. I'm like, no, I don't actually think they would be, or if they were, it's their own thing. And like, just be like, this is who I am. And that is just, there's so much power in just being able to say, this is who I am. Yeah. With the scars, with the changes. Like I am somebody who's gone through some cosmetic surgery, and I fought it for decades, but I still wanted it. And then when I finally took that step, I felt so much self-love for finally doing that for myself, that I'm like, why aren't people doing this if they say that they want to do it? It's not about you saying, oh, my body's imperfect and I want to change it. You're actually doing it because you've suffered a lot because of that. And then once you get that adjustment, you're like, oh my God, I have this new profound love for that body part that I couldn't have experienced without this cosmetic surgery. So now I'm like on this completely other page about cosmetic surgery. For like the first 30 years of my life, I was like, no, I need to learn how to accept it exactly how I was born, exactly how everything has turned out, or I'm not in love with myself. And then when I went through the process, I was like, oh no, actually, this is an act of love, was to provide this type of like soul nourishment, this type of like newfound acceptance and newfound love, was way more loving to myself than denying myself that process.
Wow. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that, because I feel like there is like a stigma just about, because cosmetic surgery, right, in general, and it's like,
I felt that way for a very long time. And it actually, I felt like, caused more anxiety and more suffering by constantly trying to talk myself out of it. Like, no, and beating myself about like even wanting it, right?
Making yourself wrong for like what actually felt real and true for you.
Yeah.
I think it really just comes down to like, what's your truth, and like that can be applied to like whether you shave your body hair or not, like all these different beauty standards, like whether you choose to wear makeup or not. It's like to wear makeup because you think you're ugly otherwise, or that you have to, or like you have to shave because, thank you, you have to shave because you're gross otherwise, because that was a message I got. It was like, if you don't shave, you're gross.
Whoa.
And it's like, well, like, what do I actually want? What do you actually want? And like navigating from there. And I'll just go back to the hot springs, because I had this beautiful experience as a teenager of meeting this woman there. I was probably like 13, 14. And there's this woman I met. She was a little older than me. I thought she was super cool. And she was out on the lawn hula hooping, and she throws her arms in the air, and there's these huge tufts of hair. And this is at a point in my journey where I was like, I wasn't introduced to that much. I was just told your body hair is gross. Yeah. And I remember like sitting with her later. I was like, so I noticed you don't shave your armpits. I was like, why don't you shave your armpits? And she just looked at me. She was like, because I don't have to. I was like, I don't have to either. And I went through this whole process. I was like shocked at first because of the body hair. And I was like, I don't think she's any less beautiful. And just from there, I've just,
Men don't shave their armpits.
Men don't shave their armpits. And now it's like I shave my legs here and there if I feel like it. But I spent a good decade, 15 years not shaving at all, anything. Where I was just like, I don't really want to. and I don't have to. So I didn't. And now I'm like, I don't know, my legs are pretty hairy right now, but I might shave them next week because it'll be hot and summery because I want to, because I feel like it. Not because like my partner thinks I have to, or because I was told as a child that I have to. And it's like the same for you. It's like, you got to that point in your journey where like, I'm trying to shame myself from the other side. And we can shame ourselves from any angle. Like women who like choose to not wear makeup or not shave their body can equally shame someone who chooses to do those things. And it's like, well, doesn't make you right just because you're choosing the more natural way. You're just choosing your way. And whatever your way is, choose your way. And know that there's a lot of influences at play. So it requires you dropping into your body, dropping into your inner knowing to really discern like what is my truth. Because there's messaging everywhere about all these things all the time. And it's dense out there, man.
It is.
I think that helps bring us back to kind of like embodiments and dropping in and shutting out the voices that are not yours, that are voices from other generations. People are just carrying down these generational messages from hundreds of years ago, that don't exist anymore. They don't need to exist anymore. A woman can be beautiful however she chooses beauty. Shaving, not shaving, augmentation, not augmentation, makeup, not makeup. Like it's just what makes us feel beautiful. What is going to help bring your inner light out in the best possible way so that you feel the most comfortable in your skin and the most comfortable in your environment. And just honoring that is just how you choose. And that's what's right for you and not for others, or you don't need to be influenced by others.
What's so beautiful about that is that once we really step into that, then the world gets to be a mirror reflection of that. Like you get comments from people or just like other things mirror to you of like, wow, you look so radiant, or like, wow, your eyes look amazing, like all these things. And it's like, it's because you know your own value and your own beauty and your own worth. And once we're actually really not like from a mental state, which I did for such a long time, I like intellectualize things for a while and I'm like, I'm doing it. And then I'm like, oh, I'm not actually embodying it. Once we actually embody those things, then it starts to be reflected to us by our outer world, by the places that we get to be surrounded by, the homes that we live in, the material things that we have, the people that are in our lives. And it's just like this beauty, when I actually get present with it, I just like get super emotional about it. Cause I'm like, the beauty that surrounds me, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's just like a direct result of the love that I now have for myself and how I'm stepping in and embodying that. And it doesn't have to look like clothes. Like half the time when I record these, I'm in pajamas, like I don't always think about like what I'm wearing. Cause I'm like, it doesn't matter as long as I feel comfortable. And even what I told you guys, I was like, just be comfortable. Like that's what this is about. Right. And as long as you're moving from a space that feels good for you, it's like, that radiance just comes up and through. And that is what like magnetizes and attracts in everything you're asking for. It's just amazing. Yeah.
And when a woman steps into her own and gives herself permission to love herself and shine, it gives others permission. When I'm displaying myself like this, I'm getting comments from women that are like, that shows me like I can do that. By you stepping into your beauty allows other people to step into their beauty, because we also need to be way showers and show that like, no, you can do this. You can reclaim your body. You get to be you too. Let your fire through genuinely. Something that's come up this week is like sacred feminine rage.
Yes.
Oh
yes.
my God. Like, let it out.
Let it out. She needs to have expression.
There is so much rage inside by all of us. I think all women carry this flame of like,
And Kali, she's coming out to protect. Like it is there for a reason. It doesn't necessarily have to go out and like be super destructive, but like it does get to come out. Yeah.
At the end of one of my therapy sessions, the woman asked me, she's like, what's like the message you're taking away today? And the message that came through, it like kind of surprised me for a second. I was like, I gotta let my inner crazy bitch out more.
Yeah.
And it was like not from like this like self-serving, selfish, just like I'm just gonna like spew on everyone, but just like to know those moments and like to not shame and suppress her, and to know that she has her role and her place, and to know when it is her time and place. And just to like really respect and honor, because I could feel that part of myself that was like, oh, I don't like that I'm like angry or frustrated about this, or like want to like, not that I wanted to not that I felt shame about exactly wanting to defend, but just like the feeling that came up behind the wanting to defend what is sacred, what is true. And yeah, it was so liberating to just be like, I gotta let my inner crazy bitch out and just like trust, you know, and like trust that if I channel it through my heart, that's been my practice. I'm like, if you're gonna say anything that is like challenging for someone else, it has to come from your heart. And it doesn't then, because then I know like as it lands, it's for them to like discern for themselves. But if I'm doing it from a place of trying to hurt somebody, then I can't do it, you know, because like that is like gets woven in there as well with this fire, this rage. But like the true essence of Kali Ma, like she does come from love, like destroying the illusion. And that's from love. And it doesn't always feel soft and gentle and sweet, because love isn't always just soft and gentle and sweet. That's just not love. And like I'm just feeling that fire and like just deeply honoring you in that, because again, like when we come back to like our bodies and like embodiment and like this painting of like yoni and breasts, like there can be a lot of anger that comes up of like, wow, I've suppressed myself for so long, and I've like had this distorted view of myself for so long, and seriously, like fuck that.
No more of that.
It's time to stop being like the quiet, meek little girl that we were told to be. You know, don't make waves, don't make problems, don't be difficult. You know, be clean. You don't get to be messy.
Being dirty is my favorite.
Like I remember, I keep going back to childhood. I remember like having these cute little dresses my mom would put me in sometimes for like church or whatever, and I always felt like amazing, and I was like, woohoo, like the twirly. But I also wanted to go out and play outside in the dirt while wearing them, because I like this and I want the dirt. Like I want them both. And I would get like, you know, you get the, oh my God, don't get your dress dirty. And you're just like, why?
Can't you wash it? Like,
And then these little things come out as an adult where you're like stressed out about like a mess or a stain or something. And you're like feeling this anxiety because you're like, oh, I just got this dirty, or I'm leaving my kitchen dirty right now. And the other day I was like, who cares?
who cares?
It's like, what is, like, am I being shamed by the universe for my dirty kitchen right now? Like, are they saying you're not doing things right if your house is a mess? No, like play in the dirt and stop being the meek little girl. No, we get to scream and we get to rage and we get to take up space.
Yeah. We get to take up space.
And it's like equally like the power in that is like owning it, you know, fully and completely, and not like, because I've seen a lot of the other side of that, of like women saying they're like sovereign and like just like feeling their feelings and being big in the world, and they're just being hurtful. And I'm just like, okay, there's like a balance point here. And it's like, I think especially when we're first exploring it, it can be easy to be like, I've suppressed myself for so long, so just like catapult to the other side. And then there's like this like balancing that happens of like, okay, all right, self-responsibility and also like fierce protection of what is sacred. And it's, it takes exploration. And sometimes that requires just fucking it up a little bit too.
Yeah. Get to be messy and beautiful and all of the things.
Yeah. It could be messy and beautiful, but also learning like not to blame, you know, not externalizing our rage and saying, you're the problem. You did this to me. Taking our power back and saying, no, if this is a problem, I get to walk away. If this is an issue, then where can I come back to self-love and you know, choosing myself in this moment and not violently lashing out on people. That's not what sacred rage is about. No. Learning that balance of our power.
I had an experience of that the other day where I just like had to walk away from a situation that I really wanted to be in. And I was like, this is not for me. And also there's also something else for me in this space to learn from.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's you. It's okay. So, as it relates to the Painted Goddess Studio experience, Is there anything else that you guys want to share?
Maybe we could share about what we're thinking of doing in a couple of months.
Ooh,
Give a little sneak peek.
Yeah.
Haven't been announced to anyone
Yeah.
yet.
Oh my God, it's so exciting. Exclusive. Okay.
Mhm. Yes.
Love that.
Exclusive teaser. Do you want
Oh,
to?
yes.
Yeah.
So, do you want to?
Oh, no, it's going to.
So we've done several of these painted goddess experiences with just one woman.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like the container that we offer is with one woman. And if a woman wanted to bring a friend and they'd like do a duo thing, that's cool. And it's inside. It's really like sweet and spa-like and like cozy. And we wanted to bring in a little bit of the element of like the outdoors. And like a lot of the work I do is outdoors nude photography. And so we wanted to get together a group of about 5 women and do a group piece. And so it'll go across the women's bodies in like a cohesive way. We're playing with different designs. She's the artist in that way. So we'll see what magic she creates. Could be a rainbow. Time will tell. And having like a group experience and then photographing that outside and having it just be like this, this deep celebration of like the diversity of what it is to be a woman and in all the ways in our cyclical nature and our differing body shapes and just like celebrating together.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's coming.
Oh my God.
July is our plan right now. And I'm really excited about that. It's just to be like, just beautiful. First off, to work with so many women and fun to explore this in a different way, in a different environment, because you know, the outdoors.
Getting to like share your experience as being the one that's painted with the other women and getting to like witness as well and be witnessed.
Yeah.
This project will probably be a little less yoni focused.
Okay.
Just because of the nature of the photography, it'll be outdoors. We're not going to be doing like big close-ups. It's probably going to be more like belly or chest.
Okay.
And then like,
Okay.
if everybody's like lined up next to each other, the painting should go across everybody somehow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So yeah, we'll be
excited.
announcing that in probably a week or so. Something coming up.
And I also just want to say for like any woman who's like hearing this or witnessing this and is like, whoa, this is really like, it's like it can bring up a lot.
It is edgy.
It's
very edgy.
It's very edgy.
It pushes your boundaries. It pushes all your
Like I want to do it so bad. And I remember when you first told me about it and I was like, I really want to do this. And I was also like, okay.
It's scary. And I don't do that. I was terrified. I was terrified sharing it. The people that we've worked with all have these jitters and nerves and emotions they're working through. But that's part of the magic of it is that we get to now talk about that. Let's talk about what's bothering you. Let's talk about like the journey of you and your body and like share it and like let's not hide that. Yeah, let's heal together.
You don't have to do
We're all a
it
bunch of
alone.
goddesses and we gotta
and like women
together.
witnessing each other has been such a profound space for me to enter in over the last couple of years because I really have had like not a great relation, like mother wound, sisterhood wound, like all of that stuff. So it's like coming back into that and being witnessed in multiple different ways by the sisters in my life, feeling so grateful for that and just realizing I'm like, this is so important. It's so important. And we put so much stuff onto like men and finding a partner. And I'm like, I want my emergency contact to be like my best sister and, like all these things. Like, I don't want to like attach in that way to one person in that way. Like, it's beautiful to have that type of relationship and like definitely welcoming that in and also like nurturing these types of connections. But I do even see what happens with that. This is a whole nother tangent, right? Like someone gets in a relationship and then they let their other relationships to sisters and people in their life go. And it's like, how can we continue to like make sure that these are the most important relationships that we're fostering and like keeping as we move forward into life.
Sister vibes.
Sister vibes. Yeah.
Our
wild,
village.
witchy women vibes.
Yeah. And I really feel like in that process, like when women are like hearing about this and like even just like witnessing it, like honestly, just witnessing the art in and of itself is deeply impactful because it's something you don't normally see very often. And like the art speaks for itself. And so like the imprint of like the essence of what is being created comes through the art. And so whether you decide to be a part of it or not, like I do encourage women to just go witness the art itself and just be like, whoa, women are badass. And like maybe this experience isn't for me right now, but I can like that's like a little edge, of like even witnessing it.
The website you guys created is
Yeah,
beautiful.
like
So that's the
should we
best.
plug our things?
Yeah, all of your stuff is going to be in the show notes.
Okay,
so I'll have you
good.
send me all that info, and everyone will be able to find you
Yeah.
and contact you. And yes.
Okay.
Any final thoughts? Any final shares?
I think just that, like, I'm loving this conversation and like just the invitation for more conversation around this, because exposure is one of those things that starts to like dissolve the shadow. It's like that exposure to a naked body at a hot spring, or that exposure to the conversation, or the exposure to the art. Like, we can make anything normal, really, and that can go good or bad. Like, anything can kind of be normalized. And so, like, let's normalize the things that are beautiful.
Yeah. And this is normal in our lives now. So I'm like, why can't this just be normal in the North? Let's get it out there.
And to just be grateful for like the time and era that we live in, and maybe even the state and just the part of the world that we live in, because there are so many places. There's no way we could do this stuff. I feel just so free to be able to even share this legally and safely, and people in my life and community are accepting of it, because my parents still don't know. There are places and people where you're like, it doesn't quite feel good or quite feel safe, or so I just feel so honored that I get to be in a space where I do feel safe, that we get to share this, and we get to be women and our fullest expression kind of in the part of the world that we live in.
Yeah.
Almost. Gift and an honor.
It's such a gift.
Yeah.
Not quite walking around naked. We're not quite
getting there though.
Yeah.
I mean, they do a naked bike ride in Portland, so we're slowly. And Seattle.
Oh yeah, I've been invited to like go up and paint at the naked Fremont biking, like they do the big nudist like biking thing, and people body paint stuff, and I'm like, maybe we'll see. Yeah, sounds fun.
Yeah. Celebrating that freedom and like exercising that freedom if it feels true to us.
Which was the prayer that we read.
Yes.
Right before. Our prayer of honoring was the freedom.
It's true.
Yes. Oh, thank you guys so much for sharing
Monika
your
and Amanda, my sisters.
Yes. And your art. I love you guys so much.
Love you.
Thank you.